Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Also with Idea Pros marketing team, and I'm here with Fred Carey, who is co-founder and executive chairman of Idea Pros. And we're talking about how to get a yes from investors, the do's and don'ts of presenting to investors. Fred, what do you think, what would you say is most important to say to an investor or not to say to an investor?
Well, before I say that, I just want to talk about the comment about watching the replays of our shows.
Yeah.
You know, our replays are like leftovers. They're better the day after. So I encourage you to, if you've seen them before, to go back and refresh, because there are nuggets there that you might not pick up the first time. So I think that go back as often as you need to get the ammunition you need to be successful. So
Absolutely.
speaking of ammunition, part of the ammunition that we need as entrepreneurs is money, right? Without capital, you can only go so far. Even working with Idea Pros, when we get you all the way to launch and we do an initial marketing campaign and your product starts taking off or your app starts taking off, there's a runway that continues, and you need to get capital coming in to either fund it yourself or to bring in outside resources. So that's what we're going to focus on today, how to do that, and most importantly, when to do that. Typically, an entrepreneur with a good idea wants to run around and grab investment dollars right away, but when you have an unproven idea without very much behind it, other than maybe, wow, this would be cool to have in the market, it's really not going to inspire anybody except for mom and maybe one of your brothers and a couple of your best friends, which, by the way, is not really a bad way to go in the very beginning. That's called friends and family funding, or as sometimes we call it, stupid money. They're going to just believe in whatever you tell them without any evidence behind it. But that's not going to really take a company for the long run. So before you're ready to do an investor pitch, you should have gone a substantial way. With Idea Pros, the very first thing we do is we investigate that market idea and make sure it has legs, make sure there's a real position there in a substantial market that's growing and that could use us in that space. Once you figure that out, and once you figure out how you're going to be positioned and how you can go take significant market share, which, by the way, remember that, significant market share, because that's going to be one of the don'ts in talking to investors, the opposite of that. Once you have that all together, then you really need to make your first steps into proving out what you want to do. And only then, only after you've kind of proven it out, you've shown there's a market share, you've shown there's a place in that market for you, that's when you should start going out to investors with an investor pitch deck.
Got it. So obviously we have tons of articles on the website, and we talked about the replays too. You can go to the blog to get some more information about prepping yourself, getting the market research done before you go to investors. So
Right.
Now let's say you've done the research, you know you've got a good idea, and you want to go hit the streets and start talking to investors. Like, what should we say or not say when we're prepping?
Yeah, so investors have to get it really quickly in your conversation with them. I was just sent a pitch deck by a very, very seasoned investor last week. It was some 20 pages, which, by the way, is too long. And this is a man who helped take a company from $50 million to $500 million. And he had sent me a pitch deck for advice regarding funding. I read through the whole pitch deck, and I still wasn't quite sure what they were doing. It wasn't clear, succinct, short, right to the point, right? When you're thinking of an investor, you need to think of somebody that you have a very limited time to catch their attention. And if you're not doing that in the first 2 or 3 slides of your pitch deck, their eyes are going to glaze over and you're going to lose them. So we're going to give you in a little bit an example of a pitch deck that we did. Tessa's also going to give you our kind of one-page business plan, because nobody wants to see 50-page business plans anymore in this digital age. But we have a really cool way to condense all that information in one slide. But back to the pitch deck. What's the problem that's going to be solved? Why is it such a big problem? What's the demand that's there waiting for the solution to that problem? And then your solution, and why that solution makes sense, why people are going to want to have your solution, and how you can go into that market and get market share. One of the don'ts that will make anybody put the pitch deck down and walk away from you is the argument that this is a $10 billion market, and if I can capture 1% of that, we're going to be multimillionaires, all of us. Any venture capital firm, any angel group, most sophisticated investors will walk away from that. Why? It's not because of all the money that's there, because surely 1% of $10 billion is still a significant amount of money. The reality is, though, that companies don't capture 1% and stay in business, regardless of the size of the market, because you are nothing in the marketplace if you're only capturing 1%. So very clear to say you are going to disrupt a market. You are going to take a leadership position. You are going to have a significant offering that people are really going to want. That's how you get people to perk their ears up and want to hear more. Okay, so identify the problem, identify your solution, and let them know why your solution is the thing that people are really going to want to migrate to. Once you've done all those things, now you've got their attention. Then secondarily, you go into your strategy. These people are going to want us because we're going to do these things. We are going to capture this attention of this audience, and we're going to keep them, and we're going to make them love us because of these three things we're going to do. I am perfect to run this business because I've had this passion of blah, blah, blah for all my life. And I know I can make this happen. And we have a team of experts working with us that are going to guide us along the way. That's how you get somebody's attention.
And I just wanted to point out too that confidence is huge in this. So when you're going to present, I mean, not only does the confidence have to come through in your PowerPoint, but it also has to come through in you, because of how important it is that you're in this. You're a lot of what's behind getting the funding. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's true, and that's a good opportunity to differentiate between confidence and arrogance. Right? You can come off the same way for both of those words, but the person that's confident rather than arrogant is because they have the data behind them. They can answer any question. You need to be an expert before you talk to an investor, because you don't know the questions that are going to be asked. And if you don't know who the top 3 competitors are, and if you don't know how quickly they've grown, and if you don't know what their audience doesn't like about them that's going to be different with you, you're not going to get a penny, much less $1. So that's really the name of the game. Speaking of how much you're going to get, another thing that entrepreneurs do is they worry so much about the evaluation. This idea is so great. I want to value my company that doesn't have any revenue, doesn't have any employees, doesn't have a real product yet. I want to value my company at $10 million and see if I can get $1 million for 10% of it. Forget it. It's not going to happen. What you need to think about is your future, right? Right now you have 100% of zero. Let me get my calculator out. We'll figure out how much that is. It's not much, okay? The reality is, if somebody wants to give you $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, the amount of money that you know you're going to need to get to the next level, then you need to be reasonable. If they want 30%, that's great. If they want 20%, wonderful. If they want 40%, let's do this, right? So look at your opportunity cost, but also look at your opportunity. Where is this going to take me? Now, if I have 60 or 70% of something that has legs and has an ability to be successful, I am way ahead of the game. instead of hovering around here with 100% of zero and no way to make it worth anything.
Absolutely. Well, you covered so many of the questions that I had are just automatically rolled into them. So thank you, because I don't have to bring those out. But are there any other like details that investors really want to see in your presentation or your your pitch deck that you could give us tips on?
Yeah. Again, I think you need to do it at the right time with the right stuff behind you. It might be a good opportunity now to pull up the Moneta pitch deck.
Absolutely.
This guy's a partner of ours, a young guy, like Bill Gates, dropped out of college to focus on this product. He's taken Harvard Business School classes now to get up to speed. He's reading my ebook. He watches all of our shows. So Moneta is an app that really is going to kind of change the world of, for millennials at least, of saving. And it does so by allowing pocket change to become cryptocurrency whenever you shop. And so if you want to go through a couple of the slides with Moneta, which, as I said, is our product, why we built it. Look at this. Here's the problem. Here's the solution. Okay, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on them because we have limited amount of space. But you can see problem, solution. Prove that you have the capability of succeeding. Right? If you partner up with some seasoned executives, get them up there right in the very beginning. There's a problem. There's a solution. We have the team to make that happen. So don't try to do it yourself if you've never done it before. Bring in 1 or 2 or 10 people that are going to be able to help you and give you the credibility you need. Some slides of the app so that they can see what the experience is now that you've got their attention. More slides of the app so they can see how much work you did. Showing how the thing works, right? You're getting into details later on in the slides. You're not doing it right in the front. Here's the problem. Here's our solution. Here's our team. This is kind of what it looks like. And now this is what it does and how it works. And then there's a big list of the competitors and how they operate, right? You're showing knowledge of the space you're going into. And then there's the traction that we're predicting as far as app uploading so that investor can have some meat on those bones to understand what their investment could mean for them. And then this is what we're going to predict our user base looks like. And this is what we need the money for. Okay, that's it. The guys from Moneta recently competed in a university business school competition. And they were, with this pitch deck and with their knowledge base, they were one of the finalists and raised several $1,000s in a 10-minute pitch. Right? So you don't have to grab somebody's attention for hours and hours at a time. Spend enough time to get your story out and get people interested. Investors want knowledge, and they will invest in you if you have a great idea, you've done your homework, and you're far enough along the line to show them that you can make it happen.